Congressman Andy Biggs. How are you today?
Great, Jeff. Hope you are too.
I'm doing good. I'm actually back in Flagstaff, so life is good, and we'll see if we get to reopen here soon. I mean, it's going to be a patchwork around the country of who opens what. We're seeing some states opening up, but this could go into the summer. Are you seeing that in some states where it's just June, July? I mean, is there any light at the end of the tunnel here, Congressman?
Well, it just depends on who your governor is in large measure. Even wacky Governor Northam in Virginia announced that they were going to start school at their regular time and that they were going to start opening up a little bit at a time. Now, that's not good enough, but at least he has recognized that they have to open that up. And then you have Polis in Colorado's opening up, and you've got Kemp in Georgia doing a good job opening up. DeSantis in Florida's opening up some more. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful that we're going to open up soon here in Arizona. We should have already opened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so, you know what I've noticed, Congressman, and I was talking about this last segment. I've noticed a little bit of a tone change in the mainstream media recently as far as the economic side of this. I called it. 5 weeks ago, I said, hey, a lot of folks are very fearful, and rightfully so. I get it. This was a new thing, and it's still, a scary virus for a lot of folks, especially if you're in certain, predisposed conditions, et cetera, et cetera. But I noticed a tone change. I think that a lot of these media folks are coming out of what I call the coronavirus coma of fear, and now they're recognizing that there's a huge economic fear. They're actually talking. I saw the Councilman Sal DeCiccio was questioning the economic director for the city of Phoenix, and she was shocked that the economy is dumped as much as it has. And I'm like, what is people getting paid for? How could you be shocked by this?
Yeah, that is remarkable. I mean, you don't say that you're going to tell people they can't work, they can't open up their businesses, and they're going to have to shelter in place. And you can't be surprised then that your economy is contracting. It's no longer growing. It's going to contract. You're not even reducing the amount of growth. You're actually cutting into the meat and bone at that point. Yeah. And that's what they did. And you know what, Jeff? It also isn't just that the economy has been so devastated by these governors' shelter-in-place orders. I've talked to a number of doctors in the last few days, just here and elsewhere, trying to get a feel for this, because I started hearing these reports. We've got people who are not going in for cancer screenings, cancer treatment, that have these appointments. They need to get in there, but they're nervous about getting the COVID virus if they go in. You've got people who are having heart attacks and strokes, and they're not going in because of this. So you have this primary public health outcomes on the other side that's also going to be extremely detrimental as this becomes manifest. So you have people dying who aren't getting the help that they normally would get because of the panic here.
Yeah, Congressman, I read an article about that the other day. Yeah, the doctors and folks in ER are like shocked with the decrease in things like heart attacks, but they know they're still happening out there. I actually have a tweet that you sent out earlier, what's essential and what's not, and it was actually from one of your constituents here in Arizona, Sun Lakes. Quote, to put it simply, due to the shutdown, an urgently needed surgery for a hernia has now been deemed elective, quote unquote elective. I've been coughing up blood for the last 3 months and have not had a normal night of sleep in a long time. I mean, I wonder how many people are being injured like your constituent here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the point. We have nobody has taken a look at these unintended consequences, and I think what we should be doing right now is we've got assisted living facilities, elder care facilities in this state and throughout the country. That's where your most vulnerable population are, and these people have comorbidities, et cetera. Maybe what we should be doing is focusing on protecting them, protecting their care workers, testing them regularly, and letting the rest of the country open up in a responsible manner, and just say, we trust you. We trust you. You're free. You be free. Be responsible. And let's see if we can try to restore the foundations of an economy that we've taken a jackhammer to.
Do you think that Fauci and Birx, I mean, time to go? I mean, I couldn't do the forecasting they do, but generally my antennae go up when somebody tells me all the icebergs are going to melt, or X amount of people are going to get sick, or this stock's going to go to this exact point. They seem to be wrong a lot, and I'm not trying to. I don't know these people, but is it time for them to hit the road?
Yeah, I believe so. I've been advocating that actually probably for 3 weeks now, because for me, I look at it and I say, Fauci said that the economic and societal costs are merely inconveniences.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's a problem. Then he said, and then another that was in a public interview. In a conference call I was on, and I had to call people and say, "Did I hear what I just heard?" I'm texting people and said, "Yeah, you heard that right." He said they did not take into account societal and economic problems or issues that will come with crafting their policies. And they're like, "Well, I get it. You're an epidemiologist and you're trying to help over there, but you have got to look at the totality of what's happening to the patient." And they continue to go that way. I personally believe that they're undermining the president and his other other folks that are trying to bring us back to some normalcy. And I think it's time for them to go. They got to go.
And folks, talking with Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman, I got a lot of listeners that chime in, and I mean, I got a lot of folks that I have a comment here from somebody who drives a concrete truck. I've got a great listener who delivers from Phoenix up to Northern Arizona every day. I mean, all the time I'm hearing from folks who are, out there working, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I had to go to Walmart earlier to pick up a little thing, and people are out there working. Why isn't Congress working?
Oh, well, okay. So first I would say that I am working. I just, for good or ill, I'm working in the confines of my home office.
Yeah.
And so my staff is working as well. So we're getting more cases than we ever get.
I'm not trying to pin it on you, but as far as meeting in DC, Congressman.
Jeff, Jeff, you're right. We're not where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're not where we're supposed to be. We should be setting the example as leaders that we can go and work. I mean, I've introduced 3 bills in the last 3 weeks, but I'm doing it out of home, and my staff is working remotely because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want us there. And I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons she doesn't want us there is because if we were all there, we would have a say, and we'd be driving some of the stuff on all of her relief packages that she wants to do. But that's by keeping us out. She's basically able to say she's going to negotiate with Steve Mnuchin. They're going to put together a package. Mnuchin is going to get what he wants, and so she gets what she wants. That's why I believe we've been kept out. And I will just tell you the other thing. You've got some Democrat and Republican members of Congress who say they're too frightened to go back. They are. They're too frightened to go back. And I'm like, how can you say that when you're okay with the Amazon driver coming to deliver something and the people processing and working at food processors and meat processing plants that we have to have, first responders, but we can't go back? So they've self-identified the worst secret in Washington, D.C., and that's Congress as a non-essential body.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. That's my point exactly here is these folks are these regular folks out there working hard to keep this world spinning around, and more of us need to go back to work, and yet she's keeping folks out. She can just do that, I guess, but hey, what is she going to do? I'm a little nervous here because I heard her talking about the Andrew Yang plan, and you know where I stand on the stimulus. I know where you stand on the stimulus. They're talking about this universal income for a time period. Are you hearing that more and more amongst your colleagues on the other side of the aisle?
Well, I'm hearing it from some people on our side of the aisle.
Great.
Yeah, it makes me very nervous to think that we've got people that are with an R behind their name that are thinking, well, let's just give everybody $2,000. And you know what? There's a certain logic to it, because actually there's someone say, well, if we're going to spend another $4 to $6 trillion, why not just give everybody $2,000 a month? And so that's their logic. Just get it done, and then we can say that we've done something, because let's throw money after it solution to every problem that is so prevalent in Washington, D.C.
And Congressman Biggs, by the way, I tweeted the other day. And by the way, I appreciate when you guys share and retweet that you're on the show and the podcast, that you have a lot of fun Twitter followers. Some of them I would classify as trolls. They're fun, though. There's a couple of
really? I got trolls?
Yeah, have you noticed that? Yeah, a couple of comments I couldn't even say on air, but most of the folks are really, really good. Obviously, most of your followers there. But anyway, I tweeted this the other day. I think we should stop the stimulus as quickly as possible, because if the states no longer have that carrot dangled, the states are going to reopen up real quick. Is there you see the logic behind that? Is there talk about that, to just cut the states off and say we're done with the stimulus, get back to work?
Yeah, I mean, you have to hit it right on the money. There is, when you provide an incentive to stay closed, you're going to stay closed. It's kind of like I'm getting calls from some employers who are they can open up a portion of their business and they're ready to open up, but they've got employees that don't want to come back or are mad because they're making more money with the unemployment package that the feds gave than they would make if they were making $14 an hour. So these perverse incentives really hurt us. You know, I got to tell you, you're right on the money, Jeff. That as long as you backstop and provide assistance, people are going to stay closed. They'll stay closed.
Yeah, there's a disincentive. Now, one more thing here on this economic side. A lot of the folks who seem to be cheering on, we got to stay closed. I don't know if they're just nervous or if they enjoy. There's a lot of bureaucrats out there, honestly. I'm just going to be honest, that maybe are working from home in their pajamas. If their paycheck were kind of cut off, just like your local restaurant, your local haircutting person, your nail salon, do you think maybe some tone change would happen that, hey, I'm not going to check either. It's time to get back to work? Or am I being, what did you say last week? Or am I being cynical?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I mean, so for instance, the first bill I ever introduced in Congress said if Congress doesn't produce a budget, a balanced budget, you don't get paid. Oh, of course, people had a heart attack back there. They went crazy, and the bottom line is, the biggest incentive that we see in Washington D.C. is for bureaucrats to get paid to maintain the status quo. Regardless of whatever that status quo is.
Yeah. All right, Congressman Biggs, final thought here. I don't have a lot of confidence that a lot of your colleagues are understanding of the dollar, the financial system, how we're the reserve currency, the economic side of all this. I have very little confidence at this point. Is it time? I'm going to throw this one out of the left field for you. Is it time to go back to a gold standard? Because, do we need to take the crayons away from folks so they stop just running amok?
Yeah, I mean, I support having a gold standard or some standard. I mean, where we have this fiat currency where they just create money. So, I mean, we were talking about this last week. You've got a reserve of now we eased it for some that's not even 10% of what you lend out. And what that does is, if you've got $1 billion that allows you to lend out $10 billion, you're creating money when you do that. Mm-hmm. You're creating money. Yeah. And that's helped us, but it's also hurt us because we are dependent on the Federal Reserve from 1913. We've never done an audit of them. And so I think you need to audit the Fed. I think you need to move to a gold standard. I think would be fantastic. I think you need to make sure that you have liquidity in the market, which you can do. Mm-hmm. And all those things are doable, but they would provide more stability to the economy overall. But I would just tell you, Jeff, I mean, as long as Congress is just going to say, we're going to put another probably $3 or $4 trillion to our structural deficit this year, which means you're going to push $28 to $30 trillion in national debt this year. Hey, you can have any standard you want, but that you got to bring that back under control first. And imagine how we would have responded differently if we would have had a balanced budget and little or no debt at the federal level. Yeah. Would have been enormously different than it looks right now.
Yeah. And I'm a realist. I know they're not going to get us back to any kind of standard. Heck, I would take a currency back by toilet paper, just something that's real to put some restraints on Congress and on the feds. We're not
Right.
going to get there yet, but it's going to happen eventually where the piper's going to have to be paid.
Well, and Jeff, one other thing about that is right now, toilet paper may be more scarce than gold. So
That's true. We can write little dollar signs on them and peel them off, and politicians can throw them out during a parade if we're ever able to do a parade again, right?
right.
All right, hey Congressman, I always appreciate the updates. People are fed up. I think we're gonna get back to work soon. I just hope that we can dig out of this, and it's not going to be years and years. We got to fix this as quick as possible.
Absolutely. Amen, Jeff. Thanks.
Congressman, thanks a lot. Have a good one.
You too.